Birch. Birch is one of those blocks that you either love it or hate it. It's like Marmite for a lot of people. I don't know why. It is great. You've just got to know how to use it. Sometimes it's used incorrectly. And hopefully, I'm here to show you ways it can be used really nicely. So just sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, grab whatever. My name's Lovejoy17. Let's learn how to use some birch. Well, why do I love birch? I love birch because I love making custom trees. Now, these trees were made using just the blocks that you get in the birch tree. As you can see, there is the birch leaves, the birch logs. I've used those in these trees. Birch leaves, birch logs. I said it was the only things it uses. I have used birch fence posts, but they come from the blocks that you get in the tree. I've not used any other types of tree in here, and it just works. It works really well. These look like a bit more realistic. These look like if you were making like a nice park inside of a city, or if you were making a little forest, you could chuck these in. They would not look out of place. They'd look splendiferous. Sometimes custom birch trees aren't enough. Sometimes you need to make custom trees. So this is the swamp tree that I made in my Swamp Village base on the second season of the Amazing Paper SMP. If you want to check out how I did it, check out one of the early videos. Hopefully I'll put a little link up in the top right, hopefully, if I remember. Fingers crossed. Remember that, brain. Anyway, yeah, so this is sort of the first example of knowing what birch works well with. Birch works really well with green, obviously, but also with oak. It works wonderfully with oak. You strip it down, done. This looks like you've got wet birch going up into dry birch. Imagine this is at water level or something, so that it looks like it's soaking up the water into the tree. As water does when it gets wet, it gets darker. This is just using sort of bit of real world logic to enhance your builds, to enhance your story that you're telling, the narrative of your builds. Just chuck in a little bit, pepper it in there, and it works wonders. Moving on slightly from trees and vegetation, we have vegetation and fungi. So this is like mushroom stems, and if you know what you're doing, put another mushroom block underneath first, like so, to get rid of that layer so it looks like the underside of a mushroom. Or you could use it as a giant wall parsnip. Now, that is clearly not what I've built, but it does look like it. It looks like a wall parsnip. But no, this is a sort of tree that's grown out of the cracks inside a building. So this could be used when you've got these great stone monolithic walls where you've got a wonderful gradient. As you can see in the background, there is a gradient as well. It works well with this. But even with a gradient, it's just grey. All right? Sometimes you just need a pop of colour. So this could be on like the edge of a cliff. You've got this tree that's growing through. You could even put something else on the other side where it looks like there's a bigger tree on that side and this is burst through the wall, cracking it and breaking it. It's up to you. The narrative is yours. This is just another example of how well birch works with oak. All right, using it in this gradient to give this tower some more depth, some more feel, where it's darker at the bottom and lighter at the top. Maybe it's been bleached by the sun as it's grown old through the years. Maybe it's wet. Maybe this is on the edge of a cliff. We don't know. That's up to you. But this is just to show you how well you can use birch. But also, if you compare these two, this one over here, this building that I'm looking at right now, looks a lot warmer than this one. This is using your gradients to your effect. If you have just a little bit of oak, the whole building itself, where that birch is that whiter colour, that lighter, it's got less of a hue to it. It looks colder. It makes our buildings feel colder. Whereas with the oak, with more oak in there, it feels warmer. So this is something you can use to your advantage, knowing the gradients that you can create with your blocks, with birch especially, can really enhance, as I said before, the narrative of your building, which gives your building more emphasis and more wonder, and you will just get so much more out of your build if it has something behind it. Now, it's not just oak that works well with birch. Spruce, as you can see, works really well here. It's not too much of a contrast that it just looks like they're fighting for each other's attention. They enhance each other. You've got the slightly darker spruce works really well against the lighter colour. And as you can see, it also works well with that gradient down there. You've got the slight gradient poking up through with the oak into the birch. It doesn't mask it. It doesn't fight against it. It works together well. This is a block that works wonderfully with birch. Again, you can use all of these different woods. You can use these different stones as well. This works well with birch. It doesn't look out of place next to it. It looks really well. It works really well. It's just one of those little tips that you can just use to enhance your building, knowing what blocks work with your blocks. All right, so here I'm showing you what you can do in a sort of an idea of a building. So this is a more rustic design. Maybe this is your town hall in your village, the wall of your town hall. You've got your rustic foundation, you've got your oak pillars going up, holding up the building, and all of your other buildings are oak. Why not use birch as your main wall on your town hall, just to bring it that bit more emphasis? This building's more important. It doesn't deserve just the block that every other building has got. You can now also use the birch log as a highlight piece, as a texture piece, as a, what's the word? It's sort of a, highlight might have been the word I was looking for, but it's just, I can't think of the word. You can use it as a little interesting thing. I still couldn't think of the word. I was sat there for a while, but I just couldn't think of it. But that just gives you a bit more interest into the building. Instead of just having, I don't know, just more wood there, you've got this pop of white. It's like, oh, what is this white? That is the birch log. You can't do this with any other block, really. Any other wooden block. Oak, no, that's wood, that's brown. Dark oak, brown. You know, jungle, brown. Spruce, brown. The only other one that can be done with is acacia, but that's a whole other story. But now you're like, oh, I haven't got any spruce around me when I've spawned in this area. I've spawned in a birch forest. I spawned on the border between a birch forest and a plain. There is no spruce. I've got large biomes on. I'm never going to find spruce for my life. That's fine. You can use oak instead of spruce to highlight your birch. It works just as well. It really, the two colours emphasise each other. They work off of each other. They, you know, there's some va-va-voom. And of course, it can be used in interiors as well. It's not just an exterior block. You can use it as a wallpaper or your wall colour. So you've got your birch and oak. Again, these two work wonderfully together. But birch, you can use it in the interiors. This nice kickboard where you've got the planks and the logs working together. You can use it as your balcony that you use to look over all of your grass. You'll just have to imagine that there's some vast library behind me, or just the rest of your house. This is what it can be used for. It can be used in interiors as that, you know, as a balcony, as your wallpaper. It works well. It has so many uses. It's so versatile. And finally, here we have the desert. Birch obviously does not spawn in the desert, but if you can bring it over with you, it can really enhance your builds out here. A lot of people will use spruce or oak or acacia for like buttons on the edge. That's fine, that works really well. But birch, if you want to have that sun-bleached oak or sun-bleached wood effect, bring out some birch, and that will really enhance this building. If you really want it to look dry and arid, bring out birch. It looks like all of the colour's been bleached out of it by the sun, by the blistering sun of the desert. It can be used in your paths. It can be used as your awnings, your balconies, your fences. It can be used to bring your lanterns up that little bit higher. It's got so many uses. It's your ceiling, as I said, that gives that bleached look to it. You put it in your windows. These have all been bleached by the hot sun. It brings out the narrative of your build. I really hope you found something useful in this video. I hope you now have a bit more of an appreciation for birch, and you're going to go out there in your new 1.18 worlds and go, you know what, I'm going to build a birch house. I'm not going to build out of oak or spruce, at least not as my main building block. Birch, that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use the other ones to enhance my builds. If you have learnt something, if you have gathered a new appreciation for birch, let me know down in the comment section below, and also just let me know if you like this style of video where I give you little tips and tricks on how you can build with different blocks. Maybe we could have a dirt video. The wonderful many uses of dirt. Who knows? Let me know down in the comment section below. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next episode.